All right, so today I want to talk about the King. And of course, by the King, I mean Stephen King, my absolute favorite author. Now, I hear all the time, ew, Stephen King, he writes like horror. I don't read horror. Okay, first, sure, he writes horror, and it can get a little, but that's not all he writes. And just because it seems scary to you, it doesn't necessarily make it horror. For example, Dolores Claiborne. Oh my gosh, it's such a good book. Not even one a lot of people have heard of. But there's only one part in there that gave me nightmares. And realistically, I'm not even sure I would call that horror, just because it hit me that way. But it's not what he says, it's how he says it. And I love his books. Love, love, love. I mean, everything from aliens to monsters to good old-fashioned bad people. So, a couple books we're going to talk about today of Stephen King's. The Stand. Let's just start with The Stand. Yes, it is intimidating. It is a ginormous book. Unfortunately, I don't have it, and I'll tell you why. I had it in paperback, and it is such a big book that it actually split in half as I was reading it. So I hate to throw books away, but what are you going to do when you've got two halves of a whole? Obviously, one day I will have it again. I don't collect a lot of books. I have a lot of books. I mean, I've got like well over 1,000 books, easy. But I'm always happy to share and give them away, except for my Stephen Kings. They're mine, and I love them. So The Stand follows people from the beginning of the end, so to speak, and then to the big fight between good and evil. And there's just, I mean, I can't even really give a good synopsis because there's just so much going on. But it's so good. I mean, it grips you. And yeah, it's a ginormous book, but you get through it because you can't put it down because it's just one thing after the other, and you want to know what's going to happen, what's going on. There's characters you love to love, there's characters you love to hate, but no matter which way it goes, you're going to love it. If somebody told me that I could only pick one book to read over and over and over for the rest of my life, it would be The Stand, because there's so much going on and it is so well written. And I know me praising Stephen King is not like a big deal because he's Stephen freaking King. Everybody praises him, but it's still something I wanted to share with y'all. It's amazing. So another one, and this one kind of took me by surprise. So this one's given to me, and it is Christine, and it is about an old car who wants to keep her owner to herself. Now, somebody tells you that they have read a book, and this is not a little book. I mean, this is a hefty book. So somebody tells you, oh my gosh, you have to read Christine, and you're thinking, wow, that's a good-sized book. About a car? Really? Yes, really. And only the King could write a book this good, this big, about a car. I mean, it's real simple kind of concept, is that the car picks her owner, and you'll know what I mean when you read the book. She picks her owner, and then she doesn't want to share him. She wants to keep him to herself. And so the whole thing revolves around his friend trying to save him from this car. So, really good book. This one is Needful Things. You'll notice that there's no jacket. And the reason there's no jacket is because I think I am super smart by taking the dust covers off of my nice hardbacks and putting them away where they won't get ruined while I'm reading the book. And then I forget where I put them. So I have got tons of books that are naked. Their clothes are somewhere. I don't know where. I'm sure I will happen upon them one day. So this one, and I know I just said I don't loan out my Kings and I don't give them away, but this one I actually have offered to loan out to somebody because I love it. So this one has wormed its way into my brain. And every now and then, bits and pieces of it will just pop up. And it makes me want to read it again. I very rarely read books twice, just because there are so many books out there to read. Who has the time to read a book twice? But man, I itch to read this one again. I haven't, because I'm busy reading 500 other things. So this man comes into town, and he opens up a store. And in the store, there's only a few things. It's very mysterious. It's a little weird. But when somebody goes into the store, they find exactly what they want. They don't know they want it. They don't know that they need it. But they have to have it. And for each person, it's something different. And for each person, it feeds on a deep, dark desire. And so their items start running their lives and overtaking and making them into these monsters, until this man who owns the shop and is completely innocent of any wrongdoing on the surface sits back and watches everything just go nuts. It's a King. What can you say about a Stephen King book other than it is good? Aha! Trick question. Because the next book that I want to mention, and King forgive me, is Carrie. Now, my daughter read Carrie last year, and she was like, "Oh, Mom, you haven't read it yet. It is so good." And I know it's one of his earlier ones. It might even be his first. I should know that. Maybe I'll look it up and add it in here. Anyways, she really enjoyed it. Maybe that's because she's a teenager in high school. I'm not sure. I didn't really enjoy it. I enjoyed the idea of it, but I found it a little disjointed and a little flighty. Flighty is not usually a word you would use with a book, but I felt like it was, and maybe it was because it's one of his earlier ones, but I felt like it was a great story that just wasn't developed as much as he usually does. And so it made me sad, because I wouldn't say I hated it. I just wouldn't say that it's my favorite Stephen King. And I feel like such a horrible person even saying that. But I guess they can't all be fabulous, right? Bringing me to the last one. Okay, that's a lie. There's so many more that I want to talk about. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up with the Dark Tower series and Gerald's Game. Ooh, let's start with Gerald's Game. Gerald's Game. It is one of his thinner books, physically. So when I picked it up, I thought, well, so many of his great books are really thick. Tommyknockers. Okay, if you haven't read Tommyknockers, get it, read it, love it. But Gerald's Game was a little thinner, so I was like, well, I'll get through it, be able to say I read it. And, oh my gosh. He can take what seems like such a thin storyline and just weave it until you can wrap yourself up in it. And the book was so good. So good. I mean, the realism of the situation that she's in is kind of freaky. But then, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but then he adds an extra element that makes you want to jump out of your skin. So, if you're looking for a classic Stephen King horror, this would be it. I know I said that not all of them are. Yeah. That extra element that he adds freaks me out. That's all I'm going to say. Gerald's Game. Read it. Love it. They've made a movie about it. My husband's seen it. He said he liked it. I've not seen it. I'm just not big on TV and movies. If I can have a book in my face, that's what I'm doing. If I can't have a book in my face, then I'm grouchy. Those are my two moods, book or grouchy. So Gerald's Game, get it, love it. Dark Tower series. Oh, what can I say about the Dark Tower series? It was amazing. It's been 10 years or more since I've read the whole series, And it was my first Stephen King experience. And it was, truthfully, one of my first non-romance experiences. Because I was in my early 20s when a friend of mine said, oh my gosh, you have to read the Dark Tower series. And I said, oh my gosh, it's not romance, no. But she had turned me on to Harry Potter, and I loved Harry Potter, so I trusted her, and I picked it up, and I didn't put it down. And again, it's one of those books like The Stand where, I mean, you go from point A to point X to point B to point F. You're just so all over the place. So to give an accurate synopsis of it, gosh, I just don't think that like anybody could do that without giving stuff away. But overall, what it is a man, a gunslinger, trying to get to the Dark Tower. The Dark Tower is what holds the worlds together. They're, you know, as they are. So he's trying to do that, and he is the last of his kind. And along the way, he meets companions that join his little group, and they go through some crazy experiences. And I'm not going to say too much. I will just say that, like all of his other books, it ties in a little bit of realism, and he actually appears in his own book, which is super cool, because you get the impression that as he was writing it, he didn't even know that was going to happen, and that is the best part. So Dark Tower series, that is an undertaking. I'm not going to lie. There's 6 or 7 books, and each one bigger than the last. So if you are ready for a challenge that will be extremely rewarding, read them. They did make a movie called The Gunslinger, and that came out, I think it came out last year. I did see it. It had Matthew McConaughey in it, and it was pretty good. I mean, obviously, like most books, not all, but most books, the movie wasn't as good as the book. But the movie was pretty good. I really feel like you need to take them separate. You need to say, okay, well, this is the book, and this was good, and this is a movie, and it's totally something separate. Because when you try to compare movies and books, which we will have episodes that do that, but for the most part, when you try to compare them, you're going to be disappointed one way or another. So the best way I feel to do it is to look at them as separate things. Oh, you know, I could keep going about Stephen King forever. In the interest of saving y'all time, because who really wants to watch this face for more than like 10 minutes at a time, right? Besides me in the mirror. Just kidding. So in the interest of saving y'all time, we're going to wrap this one up, and there will definitely be another Stephen King video. I'd like to tell you about Tommyknockers. I'd like to tell you about, oh gosh, The Shining. Talk about a book better than the movie. So good. 1962? The one about Kennedy? Wow. I mean, come on. It was amazing. See what I did there? So we'll have another Stephen King video, and yeah, so make sure to subscribe. Make sure to share, watch, like, leave your comments. Only nice comments, okay? Okay. And if you have any suggestions of books or any comments on the ones I've talked about today, I would love to hear them. So this is me, the Book Bee, saying I will see you next time.